Nothing to fear. I don't know who this is for, but I know I'm supposed to tell whoever's seeing this not to fear. There's a lot going on right now in the world. A lot of things that people have expected or not expected, or maybe expected in a different way. I could argue end time prophecy as well as anyone else. I know what it says. I know everything about it. But a few things just recently have not made sense to me. When everything happened in Lahaina, the fires that were deliberate and obviously, look, here's what immediately goes through my head, and I can't be the only one. That was not of this world. That was not just your government. That was, there's certain things I can't say because I don't want to get a content warning. What has gone through my head the entire time, I just feel like we've all been played, but I feel like we know that. Ephesians 6:12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, and against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. That means something completely different to me now. I see what it means now. I used to do videos about the government, things like that. You know what? I'm not going to do that anymore because now I see who is really behind it the whole time, and it's bigger than I ever thought it was, and it makes me realize that we are indeed living in some kind of simulation that is spiritual. And I know everybody's up in arms right now about the war that broke out over the weekend. Something I saw right before that happened, because when I saw that in Lahaina, I thought, okay, we have been told, like the Bible, and I believe the Bible is true. I believe a lot of it's an allegory that we've taken it too literally. I believe Jesus came to show us what unconditional love looks like, because we're supposed to emit the frequency of love, unconditional love. It was not about just confessing Jesus with your mouth, all that stuff. A lot of it was put in there by people who wanted you to believe the wrong things. Constantine, King James translators, there's just two. And then there the original scrolls. Look, there are people who claim to know where the original scrolls came from. This card, you already have the victory. That's for all of us. We already have the victory. We don't have anything to fear. Fear-mongering isn't going to help. Let me explain why. I saw a video over the weekend. A certain family, I really don't even want to say the name. It starts with R, ends with child. I knew when the thing in Lahaina happened, the elites must believe a completely different thing than we believe. I'm like, okay, they are obviously told that we are completely expendable. What is going on here? I knew it had to be secret society, but I'm like, I had to know. I'm like, what are we being told? Because we're being told this one thing here. We're being told be slaves to the patriarchy, be slaves to the machine. Although I do believe, look, like, again, this book actually means more to me than ever. I've never seen this book as more real, but now I see it in a completely different way, and it's not the only religious text. And everything is not contained in here. This is the VeggieTales version of reality. I believe in Jesus too. I had a spiritual awakening many years ago, if you want to call it getting saved, where I went from atheist to Christian in 1 second, pretty much. And I know the name of Jesus is powerful, but it is not what you think. Right now is the time to love unconditionally and to love the way Jesus told us to love, okay? He told us the kingdom of heaven was inside us. He said, blessed are the peacemakers. You need to follow what Jesus said. He told us to have faith like a child, like imagine it's already there. Imagine you already have it. The God of the Old Testament isn't the God you think. It's not based on the actual God that Jesus came here to tell us about. What the elites have been told, and there are definitely words I'm not going to say. I'm just going to tell you to search for something, and you're probably going to have to and you probably can't do it on Google. It's probably got to be DuckDuckGo. Just search for the phrase useless eaters, and it's attributed to Klaus Schwab, but it's actually not him. It was someone else. He's quoting someone else, and I'm not going to look up the whole thing right now. I did a video where I talked about how this phrase in the Bible, like from Genesis 14:20, he gave him a tithe of all. It's about tithing 10%. And I said in the video also, I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, that I believe secret societies know that the key to getting anything to happen collectively is to have 10% of the group consciousness, like 10% of the entire planet, in agreement on something, or imagining it, thinking about it, believing it at the same time, and then it becomes reality. And I believe the Bible even states that. Well, I saw a video over the weekend, right before Saturday. It's a doctor, a conversation she had with a member of a family starting with R, ending with child. They're going to get it down to 10% of the population. Like, all it takes is 10% of people to bring in. Anyway, they have been told that it's the end of a certain age and a new one is coming in. Even though these words might not get me a content warning now, they might in a couple weeks. So the new something, ORDER, that's what they believe. That the age is ending, that we are expendable, that we don't matter, that we've been told all this, but I just want to tell you, fear-mongering is not the answer. because a lot of what you're seeing is also being controlled and manipulated. I don't want to say by even just the media, but by powers and principalities that already knew this was going to happen, that can control and make anything happen. Just remember that. And if we believe it, it will happen. More than anything, it was meant to divide and meant to make us concentrate on something besides peace. It was meant to make us argue about denominations and, all the arguments I'm starting to see now that I knew were going to come. People who just want to get people to confess Jesus, and you're going to start beating people over the head with it. And it's like, look what I just turned to. I knock at the door saying, Lord, Lord, open for us. And he will answer and say to you, I do not know you. Where are you from? Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. Let's look at 1 John chapter 1, verse 5. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not practice the truth. Do you really think walking in the light means war? Do you think it means destruction? Do you think it means hurting your fellow man? Do you think it means not making peace? Now is the time to make peace. Now is the time for this. Judge not, that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Now is the time to love people. Love, unconditional love. If I can direct you to anyone, someone who I just found on TikTok, who I wish I'd found years ago, a pastor named Bill Donahue. He's on YouTube. If you want to watch anyone, I would watch him, because I think he's telling the truth. Look, a lot of people want to limit God to what's contained here, and it's because that's what the elites wanted. They're getting their way right now, and they're making all this happen. They're able to manipulate in ways that we can't even understand. So instead of arguing with people, instead of all this fighting and wars and all this stuff, how about we just focus on what Jesus told us to do, to love him and love others, to love unconditionally. He didn't say anything about these wars